Hi guys, alright, today we have a Stihl 661. We're going to do a coil, or also known as a control module, change on it. And we're also going to do a reset and calibration. Check the description below and I'll put the various times if you want to jump around in the video. But we're just going to jump right into it. This has a older version 2 4701A coil. And we're going to show the reset on that, because that coil takes a reset. So the reset resets the carb to the factory settings, and then the saw has to relearn. So basically the procedure is you have the saw is warm. The saw is in fact warm. You start it up on choke, run it for 90 seconds on choke, shut it off. And there's various versions of that have come out over the years, but basically after that you restart the saw, do 5 cuts, it relearns in those 5 cuts. I kind of think it takes a little bit longer, but we're just going to do that. We'll show it, and then we'll change the coil. And while I'm changing the coils, I'll talk about the calibration and some of the other various junk that goes in with this. Also, very, very important, they came out with a new kit where you get the coil, the solenoid, and the new pickup body. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to try and pack as much info into this video as I can. Alright, so 90 seconds on choke. Chain brake is off for this. The chain will run a little bit. So I didn't touch the throttle, the trigger at all that whole time, and then at the very end at a minute 30, 90 seconds, I just pushed the lever all the way up in one motion. That's the way you do it. So now you do like 5 cuts, and supposedly, and you can kind of hear it, the saw learns inside of those 5 cuts. I'm just going to do one single cut on this to show if there's a time difference between a version 2 4701A and a 4702. Alright, here's our coil. Grab the camera for a second. Alright, so you can see it says 1144 4701A, and then the 1619, I believe that's like a batch number. Those change all the time, but I've seen my share of 661s. And then I have a 4702 coil right here, which is what we'll be changing to. So 1144, 4702A, and then there again you have a different batch number on the bottom. So, alright, so remove these two. I like to move the flywheels so the magnets not next to the coil. When you coil control module, when you loosen it up, it likes to grab onto that magnet. Pull off yours here. And just gently lift up on these, the white and black wire. And I like to use, don't go anywhere, just a little orange screwdriver. And you're pushing and pulling at the same time to separate these. It's really easy. Alright, so plug in your new one. Have we seen everything? Yes. Okay, good. Alright, so there's our 4702A coil. And the calibration on this 4702 is quite a bit different than the reset. And we'll get to that. Grab our two bolts here. You don't want to tighten these all the way right away. Get them down and then back them off a half turn or something so you can move the coil around. Business card. I like thin ones, thinner the better. Well, maybe not. You know, then some guys start using paper, but it's easier to turn your wheel opposite direction. Slip your business card in. Make sure that magnet, everything's touching good. Yep, good. Alright. Now, tuck your red wire down in there. Stihl actually sells some sort of tool for this, which is ridiculous. Alright, those are tucked in. Don't need a lot of torque on these. It's like 3 Newton meters or and that's it. That is it. Put your rewind cover back on. Make sure that's good. Make sure boot is on the spark plug. Alright. So, let's see here. What should we talk about? A little bit of history. So, 2013, Stihl 661s came out. They came out with a 4700C coil. They had some issues with that going lean. They then came out with a 4700D coil control module. I'm just going to call it coil because that's easier. And same issues. My understanding is that they upped the fuel values a little bit and came out with a 4700E. So that is ready to rock. The saw is still warm, so that step of the calibration is done. And then we'll zoom in on our little cheat sheet here, talk about a few things. Yeah. Alright, so 4700C, 4700D. So if you're looking for a coil, don't buy those. They were known to go lean. Not all of them did, because I know guys that had saws with those original coils, and they ran the living crap out of them, and they're fine and still running. And but finally they came out with a 4701A, and so these 4 coils might be considered version 1 and version 2 of the mtronic, and they also worked with a black, the black solenoid, which is I don't know the part number, but the early on problems with the coil and the black solenoid was that the coil would let the saw, especially in a long cut, go lean, and the solenoid was very, very delicate, and if it got dirty, they're just stupid delicate, and they stop working, and the saw, you can't start the saw. Anyway, so on the coil, they came out with a 4701A coil, and I have no problem with that. And then they came out with a more heavy duty 2 O-rings, white solenoid, and they came out with an orange pickup body, which is a lower micron rating, so less stuff is able to get through. So that's kind of the history and progression. And then you have the reset. The reset, so if you have those 4 coils, you're going to do a reset. And the variations on the resets, we'll just talk about that quick, and then we're going to move on to 4702 calibration. But the reset on those 2, I've heard it where it's 90 seconds idle, or 90 seconds choke, 90 seconds shut this off, 90 seconds idle, shut the saw off, restart the saw, do 5 cuts. And I've heard it 60 and 60, and I've heard it 90 and just do the 5 cuts. If you're really actually having a problem and you want to absolutely make sure, and those are the coils that you're working with, then do 90, 90 and the 5 cuts. So 90 seconds choke off, in one motion, don't touch the trigger the whole time, chain brake is not on, bar and chain is on the saw. So 90 seconds choke, turn it off, one motion, restart the saw, let it idle for 90 seconds, turn the saw off, restart the saw, and do 5 cuts. That's like as anal as you can get. Alright, now then they just came out with, in the end of 2000, somewhere in 2017, they came out with this version 3 mtronic. So all the version 3 means is they're talking about the orange pickup body, the white solenoid, and the new 4702A coil. And now the saw calibrates. It doesn't reset to the original factory settings. It actually calibrates and maximizes the saw, apparently. Very, very important. So they've obviously had their growing pains. So Stihl just came out with, and this isn't something that a lot of people I don't think really know, but they hopefully we can see that. 1144-007-1801. So you can get the white solenoid, the orange pickup body, and a 4702A coil. And I think the dealer pricing is like $45. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And here's the other thing. So what will the dealer sell it to you for? I don't know. But all these saws have like an EPA mandated 2-year warranty. So if you have if you were having trouble, most of the time, parts and labor are going to be covered. And if this dealer is giving you some sort of runaround about it, then call 800 Stihl. And if they give you a runaround, then get a hold of ask who the regional rep is and talk to them. And all this information is particular to the 661. I don't follow the 241, the 261, or the 362. I have a 462, but that's straightforward. That has the new version 3 stuff. Orange pickup body, white solenoid, and it obviously, the 462 has its own coil, but that's a version 3, and you do the calibration. Now, finally, so we did the reset, talked about everything. change the coil, super easy. That's all there is to it. Now we do the calibration. And so basically you need a warm saw, which the saw is still warm. You run it 30 to 40 seconds on choke, pull and hold the trigger on max throttle, and it runs like max throttle for like 15 to 20 seconds. And then on its own, while you're still holding max throttle, the saw like goes ballistic, and it goes max RPM for like 10 seconds, and then it returns to, I guess, what you would call max throttle and a lower RPM, and you shut the saw off, and that's it, you're done. The saw is maximally calibrated. It's as good as it's going to get. So let's do that, and then we'll do some cuts and see if there actually is a difference. Alright. Make sure the saw is warm, I guess. See, we changed the coil and the saw will start. Alright. Let's see if we can zoom out. Not in, out. Okay, on choke. Not touching anything. 40 seconds. Yeah. Sometimes I do wish I put decomps on my saws. I just don't like them, so.
Again, chain brake is not on.
You heard it. As soon as it stopped going ballistic and started returning to that max throttle, and again, my finger was holding max throttle the entire time, but as soon as the saw went from that ballistic RPM, whatever you want to call it, back down on its own, then you let off the throttle and shut it down. So that's done. It's calibrated. Let's see here. Let's do our cut. See if there's a difference. We'll time them. I don't know. All right. Alright, so let's see here. My final thoughts be, I don't have a problem with the 4701A, and for the amount of money that I definitely changed the pickup body and, you know, the solenoid, because now we're talking about version 3. And, you know, the black solenoid, if you have to replace the solenoid, just get it. You know, bottom line, I just get one of these stupid kits, 1144 007 1801, and you know, bring your saw into Stihl, you know, your local dealer. I'm having trouble, blah 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 blah, and you know, I want this kit. And if they give you crap, call your regional rep. But that said, I've had like 17 661s, and I've run all the coils. That 4701A coil, that runs fine. I mean, I really don't have any problem with it. If the saw's running fine, then just leave it. If you have a problem, then I guess I'd move up to, for the money, I just get the kit, the 1144 007 1801. You know, dealer price is like 45, 50 bucks, something like that. I don't know what they'd charge you, you know, if you want to avoid the runaround and just buy it and do, you know, watch my videos on how to change it if you don't know. All right, let's get long-winded. So I think I covered everything. Again, this is as of August 2019. You know, will things change? Yeah, possibly. I don't know. But they, you know, saw's been out for 6 years, and you've obviously had a progression, kind of growing pains on the coils. So hopefully this is it. Hopefully it's just the 4702, the white solenoid, and the orange pickup body, and we're, you know, 10 years from now, I'll still be running the same setup. All right, guys, later. Thanks.